We can cross now to our senior reporter, Catherine Norris Trent, who's in Kharkiv in the northeast of the country. Catherine, what is the military situation like where you are right now?
Amid reports that Russian troops are massing on the border near Kharkiv, which is just 40 kilometers away from the border with Russia, the governor of the region has said this morning that the Ukrainian military in Kharkiv remain ready for any intensifying offensive here, any renewed attempt to take this city. In fact, the Ukrainian armed forces are claiming they're still pushing forward to the east of Kharkiv on that road down towards the Donbass in eastern Ukraine, although reports of very fierce battles taking place there, of houses being shelled and residents being advised to flee by train if they can. The Ukrainian armed forces also claim to have shot down a Russian helicopter, which they are hailing as a victory for them, using Ukrainian missiles. So sounding very confident, but clearly these battles continue and the situation outside of Kharkiv remains very tense and very difficult for lots of people stuck in more remote towns and villages, which amid the fighting have often been encircled and cut off from the world. Hospitals have been hit. We're told that people who'd been in a shelled hospital in the Kharkiv region have managed to be evacuated, but their situation is difficult. There have been a lot of calls for more humanitarian aid for these places, and it's very difficult for that to get through, with a lot of these roads and areas around this city in the northeast still very volatile and dangerous.
And Catherine, you've been in the Kharkiv region for the last few days. You've been speaking to local residents, those who have decided to remain in the region, in the city. What is normal life like? Is it in any way normal where you are?
We are slowly seeing more people out on the streets. It's not busy by any means, but the first businesses are opening, serving coffee or takeaway food, as well as delivering it to Ukrainian fighters as well. And people are trying to get on with life in what ways they can. I mean, most of the time people are sleeping indoors or staying indoors, or sleeping underground, thousands of them in the metro. But just to give you one example of someone we met yesterday, the owner of a private zoo here in Kharkiv, whose zoo is up in the north of the city, really near to the front line, and has been hit several times by shelling. Well, they're undertaking operations to try and evacuate the animals from that zoo, because he says 80% of the animals there are still stuck in that zone. So staff are going back every day to try and give them food and water and try and bring them out, taking huge risks. 5 employees of this zoo, it's been believed, have been killed during these very dangerous operations. But the owner says they've now managed to evacuate 4 big cats, 2 lion cubs, 1 jaguar and 1 puma. But he says if he can't manage to get them out, and if he can't manage to keep making these very risky evacuation trips, then he may have to consider putting the animals to sleep. So that's just one example of how very difficult this war has made daily operations here in Kharkiv. Over 5 weeks now, nearly 6 weeks into this war, with this city still being hit by artillery. The governor said that as of yesterday, in the past 24 hours, there were 54 strikes across the Kharkiv region.
Catherine Norris Trent reporting live then from Kharkiv. Thank you very much.